How do you actually embody your most abundant identity before you have all the evidence in your reality? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. Because here's the thing, affirmations are cute, visualizing is awesome, but embodiment is what actually moves the needle forward and collapses the gap between where you are and your desired reality, your highest timeline, where money's flowing in, the clients are flowing in, you have freedom, and you feel ultimately fulfilled. And that's available to you right here, right now. If you are new to me, hello, my name is Stephanie Sage. I'm a spiritual mentor and visibility coach. And if you resonate with what I share in this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, hit the like button so that this video can reach more people who it's meant for. And if you want to learn more about working with me or any of the amazing resources I have to create a life and business that sets your soul on fire, all of that information is in the description box below. Okay, so how do you actually embody your most abundant identity, your next level identity, more of the truth of who you are if it's not happening in your reality yet, or it's not showing up in the way that you truly desire or at the level that you desire? How do you actually embody it? What needs to shift? Well, first, it's going to start with how you speak to yourself, how you see yourself, how you speak to yourself, and the way in which you show up in the world. And this means that you're going to need to become more aware of what's going on internally and externally. Let me give you an example. A friend of mine says something often that she doesn't always realize she says until I started pointing it out to her. And a lot of people do this, and it ends up creating the experience in your reality. And the thing that she has said is, I can't afford it. Things like that you need to absolutely remove from your vocabulary. Things like, I can't afford it, I don't have enough, that's too expensive, whatever. The most abundant version of you would never say such a thing. She wouldn't even think twice about that. And now you might be wondering, well, what if it is my reality? What am I supposed to say instead if I really can't afford it? Or if you really feel like you can't afford it? And there are many different ways that you could say something like, that's not my priority right now. I'm in the process of manifesting the money for that. Anything that feels better and has a higher vibration than something as disempowering as I can't or I don't have. Because that is not actually the truth. Your word is law. Your words create your reality just as much as the actions that you're taking and the way that you're showing up and moving through the world. So the first thing that you need to shift is the inner and outer dialogue, the things that you are saying to yourself. If something is not aligned with your most abundant identity and abundant reality, you don't need to accept that as your truth. You don't need to entertain that. But in order to let that go, you need to be aware that you're doing it. So this can take some practice if you're new to being more aware of what's going on. But even if you do blurt out something that's not actually true or that's not actually aligned with your most abundant identity and reality, you can shift it in real time. I do this even now when I realize myself saying something that actually has a disempowered tone. I will correct it in real time and say the other thing or say something that's more empowering right after that to replace it. So I would start there with your dialogue when it comes to embodying your most abundant identity. The next thing I want to say is you are not separate from your desires. You are not separate from the money that you desire to receive. You are not separate from the clients that you desire to attract. You are not separate from anything that you desire. Everything is one. It is part of you. It is you pushed out into your reality, right? So when we could start to see that we are not actually separate from our desires, it's just this programming that our human experiences that believes it's separate. This is the ego, the human beliefs believes it's separate from your desires. And that creates resistance, that creates all of the inner turmoil that you may feel or the annoyance that you may feel if things aren't showing up or reflecting in the way that you want. You're not actually separate from your desires. So when you can start to really feel that from within and start to recognize abundance in multiple ways, in multiple forms outside of just financial abundance, you will begin to see it even more in a multitude of ways. So you are not separate from your desires. Your words are vibrations and create your reality just as much as your embodiment. And the actions that you take that are in alignment with your most abundant self and abundant reality are going to move the needle forward even more. Although things don't just manifest and actualize just because of actions. Energy and vibration and embodiment are number one. Your actions are just things that you do that feel in alignment, not things that you think that you need to do to get something. Things that you're inspired to do, intuitive hits, things that feel natural and normal to you, but things will manifest and show up for you also that have absolutely nothing to do with the actions that you take. Sometimes they'll be correlated with actions, and other times money can show up out of literally nowhere. I've had this happen myself. I've had so many clients experience this literally out of fucking nowhere. We not make this shit up. So be open to receiving abundance in a multitude of ways, however it would like to show up for you, as long as it's in the highest good of all, and practice that. Because when we cling onto the way that we think that it needs to show up or the time frame that we think that it needs to show up, we end up actually repelling it or slowing it down in a lot of ways when it's here for us. It's all over. Abundance is all around you. So start to recognize the abundance all around you, all around the world, in nature, things that are happening for you, that have happened for you, things that you're receiving. The more you're aware of that, the more you will experience that. And if you think that you need to reprogram every single limiting belief, or you think that it's going to take a long time, or you think that you constantly need to work on this and fix this and heal this, you're going to also continue delaying the overflow of abundance that is here for you right now. Yes, there are certain tools that can support. Yes, the subconscious has different beliefs, energy needs to move. There's things like tapping and hypnosis and stuff like that that can definitely help. And at the end of the day, it's a conscious choice, moment by moment, to embody your most abundant identity and reality right here, right now, in the way that you speak to yourself, the way that you treat yourself, the way that you carry yourself, and the way that you show up, the way that you talk about your work, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if you haven't decided yet, if you haven't decided and accepted that you already are abundant, that your success is inevitable, if you have not fully decided and accepted that, then these are some things that can play out for you that may be happening. You might be overthinking, you might be second guessing, you may be undercharging or overgiving and not filling your own cup. You may be holding back with expressing your message or sharing your work in the most powerful way. And you may be feeling that separation feeling that I shared earlier when it comes to you and your desires. That's what happens when you haven't fully decided and accepted that it's already fucking done. Our human likes to get in the way. We don't need to pay attention to the thoughts. You are not your thoughts, right? So what is it that you are deciding, that you are accepting, that you are claiming right here, right now? And how can you start to shift things within how you are being and existing and the choices that you're making to align with that? Let me give you an example. Some simple examples, really. Say you have this, desire to invest in, I don't know, a new outfit or a small program or something that you know is going to just elevate the way that you feel. Say the outfit's going to elevate your vibe, it's going to elevate the way you feel. It's going to boost your confidence. Or say like that little program that you want to invest in, you know that it's going to help you with the clarity that you need to move forward, whatever. Say you have this desire to invest in that. And maybe there's old stories of like, oh, I don't think I should spend money on that right now. Blah, 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 blah. I'll wait until this happens, until I do. That's the old programming. Whereas if you were making a decision from your most abundant self and your abundant identity, you would buy the fucking outfit. You would invest in that program, that course. You would make that decision based on your most abundant identity. I've done this many, many times, even in moments where I felt like I couldn't, because I knew that it was going to help me meet more of my power on the other side of that decision, whether I invested in a new outfit or whether I invested in a coach. And one of my first coaches, I invested $20,000 in full to work with her that I did not have at the time. I had maybe half of it and then put the rest on credit cards. And I just knew, I knew in my body that that was going to help me. And I trusted that knowing. And I knew that I was going to meet more of my power on the other side of that. And I trusted that. And a little bit after that decision, I ended up making my investment back and then some within like the next couple months after that. But if I didn't take that leap because I was still operating in the old identity, then I don't know where, I would have been or how much longer it would have taken for me to get that result. So I'm not saying that you need to invest in things that completely rock your nervous system by any means. What I am saying is that when you have an intuitive desire, an intuitive hit to invest in something, whether it is an outfit, whether it is going to the spa, whether it's going to a nice dinner, whether it's taking that trip, whether it's investing in that program or that coach, when you have an intuitive desire and you know that it's going to elevate your experience, that it's going to shift something for you, that it's going to make you feel amazing, that it's going to support your personal growth or your skills or whatever, then make that fucking decision and take that leap based on the vantage point of your most abundant identity. And that is one of the fastest ways to quantum leap. But it feels like a catch-22 often because the mind will come in, the old stories, the old identity, the old fears, and will say, you can't do this. Oh, we need to focus on this. Oh, that's not smart to do that. Or, oh yeah, well, we'll just wait. And it'll just make up all these excuses of why to not do that. So you've got to learn how to listen to your intuition and not listen to the fear. And you've got to learn to trust yourself and realize that you're going to meet more of your power the more choices you make from the vantage point of your most abundant identity and your most abundant reality. Another cool thing that you can do to actually embody your most abundant identity, which actually is a moment by moment choice, by the way. It's not this long process that you need to go through. It's a moment by moment choice and a moment by moment practice. Another thing that you can do is shift something in your environment. This is one of my favorite things to do when I'm, stepping into a next level or a new identity. I love to shift something in my environment, whether it is something in my room or the decor or even my physical style, like to shift and elevate that. So think about like, what is this next iteration of you, your most abundant self? Like, how does she dress? How does she carry herself? What is her hairstyle? I actually discovered I have wavy hair when I was going through an identity shift like 2 years ago. I discovered I have wavy hair for the first time in my entire life. And that was just a little bonus surprise that I experienced. But in the past, I would shift my style a bit, or I would get something to signify a shift in who I be. Whether it is a new outfit, a new lipstick color, a new hairstyle, a new picture, whatever, to signify that. And, it might sound small or simple, but for me, it has shifted a lot, along with shifting the way that you go about your day. If you want to change your reality, change the things that you do every day, that most abundant version of you, what time is she waking up in the morning? How is she starting her day? What is her self-care, her self-love routine or practice? What does that look like? What are her habits? How does she treat her body? What kind of food is she eating? Think of things like that and start to make some shifts in your day-to-day routine to embody that most abundant you. It is you. It's already you. It's not something that you need to become, but there are some things that you'll need to shift, right? Because the old self, the programmed self that is based in lack or scarcity or not enough, whatever, has a different MO, right? She's entertaining different thoughts that are not empowering. She is not doing the things or making the moves in the way that your most abundant self would or does. So there are going to be some things that you'll need to shift and change. And again, you could shift those things like that. It doesn't need to take long and you don't need to reprogram every single limiting belief. I didn't necessarily believe that I could lose 60 pounds in 6 months when I did that as a teenager. I didn't actually fully feel like I believed I could. However, I was so connected to the me that already did it. Like I connected to that feeling. I connected to that it is done reality. And because I was so connected to that and felt that, I started taking different actions. And lo and behold, the weight flew off. And I have so many different stories like that for different things in my life, but that was one of my first experiences. And I didn't reprogram a bunch of different limiting beliefs to experience that result. However, I have nothing against reprogramming beliefs or whatever. Like there are a lot of different tools and modalities and things out there that can support you. But ultimately, it really comes down to a decision, taking responsibility for your life, choosing your reality, choosing what you desire, choosing that it is already fucking done, and then acting in alignment with that. It's always a choice. And it's so much easier in our human experience to feel like we don't have a choice and to play victim. We've all been there, right? But it doesn't feel good. And it keeps you in this perpetual loop of, I'm not there yet. I don't have enough. I want more. And feeling separate from your desires versus remembering your power and remembering that you are divine, God spark working through you. It's working through you. It's working for you. It's working with you. So those are some things that you can start doing to embody your most abundant identity, and know that if there is resistance that comes up, like if there are doubts that come in, if there are fears that come up, that's okay. That doesn't need to mean that there's something wrong. That's your that's your ego giving you these fears, giving you these doubts to keep you in the old. But what if you just were the observer who observes those things but doesn't cling on to them? It's when you identify with those things that you start to think that it's actually true and it's actually your reality. But what if you just let those thoughts pass by like clouds in the sky? What if you looked at fear as a teacher that's showing you where there's an opportunity to step more into your power? Because that's really all that fear is. It's an opportunity for you to step more into your power, because you will always, always, always meet more of your power on the other side of fear. When I made that investment in that coach, I met more of my power on the other side of that scary decision. I bet on my own success. I showed myself what is possible. When I moved across the country multiple times, following an intuitive nudge, not knowing how it was all going to pan out, I met more of my power on the other side of that decision. I met more of the truth of who I am on the other side of that decision. When we take the leaps, the net will appear. And the more that you can choose your most abundant identity in this now moment, the faster things will show up for you, the more you will trust yourself, and the more things will flow in a multitude of ways. So whenever that resistance does come up, don't identify with it. Do something to get back into your power or to regulate your nervous system and continue choosing. This is what I choose. This is what I allow. This is what I am claiming. And remember that abundance is your birthright. It is your birthright. It is who you are. It is not separate from you. So stop trying to change out there. And remember that it's your inner world that creates your outer world. If something is happening out there that you do not desire, you don't need to choose that any longer. You can witness it and see it, but you don't need to accept that as your ultimate reality. You could say, I choose this, and start making different decisions and choices and actions and connecting to the you who already has everything that you desire right here, right now, moment by moment. And come up with some power decrees or mantras that remind you of who you truly are. I don't necessarily like to call these affirmations because they are more like commands or decrees that are basically reminding your human when she forgets of who you truly are and of how it really is. So I'd love to invite you to create some power decrees or mantras of your own. Some of my favorites, one of my current favorites is, I am the infinite supply of abundance, supplying everything I desire and require. And I have a list of my own, and I continue writing different decrees in my notes at times and shift through different ones. Sometimes I record them in my voice notes and repeat them when I'm driving or for my morning routine. And it really just shifts my vibration and sets the tone for the day. Today's gonna be an amazing day. I have everything that I need. So come up with your own power mantras. Remember, be aware of how you speak to yourself. Make choices and decisions from the vantage point of your most abundant self and abundant identity. Start to do things that make you feel abundant on a regular basis and watch the magic happen. If you want to comment below and let me know what your favorite new power decree is for yourself, I would love to hear. And if you loved this video, make sure you also check out my video on how to unlock your most abundant reality now. All right, see you in the next one.